my YouTube channel. Today I have this makeup tutorial for you, which is a really bright blue eye. So if you're interested in seeing how I achieve this look, then please keep watching.
Alright guys, so I'm starting off with priming my lids. I'm using a Sigma eyeshadow primer in the shade Persuade, and I first apply it to the lid and then blend it out with my finger. This is just going to ensure that the shades that we apply on top will be the most pigmented. I definitely recommend using a primer if you're using very colorful shadows, because they will appear more bright and pigmented when you apply them, as well as they'll be easier to blend. The main palette we'll be using today is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina Volume 2 palette. And I'm first going to take it with a blending brush. I'm taking this lighter blue shade with a Morphe blending brush, and I'm first going to apply this into the crease to sort of diffuse and be our main transition shade for the other bright blue colors. Then I'm taking the shade right next to it, which is slightly deeper, and then I take that on a smaller blending brush, and I'm just going to mainly focus this on the outer corners and work it into the crease. Even though the eyeshadow is just blue and it looks blue all over, I do create like some dimension with the eyeshadows by adding in deeper blues in the outer corners and in the crease. Just that way the eyeshadow will look a little bit more interesting and have a little bit more dimension in the eyes. Whereas, you know, if you just apply one shade of blue all over, it won't be as interesting. So just keep that in mind if you're recreating this. I am going to take that same shade that we used in the outer corners, and I'm going to apply this on the mobile lid and blend it into the crease. I do use a brighter shade of blue to go on top of the mobile lid, but I found that adding a blue base just made sure that the other brighter blue will just look even more intense and even more bright. So it's very nice to have a very blue base when you go on top with the lighter blue. As you'll see here, I'm taking a very light shade of baby blue with a flat shader brush, and I'm applying that in a patting motion on the lid, and it just made the eyeshadow pop even more because it had that nice darker base to it. It ensured that that baby blue color was more prominent, and so I layered that on top to create that more intense blue shade. Now, working with such bright colors can be tricky sometimes to get the opacity that you like, and also the blend, because it can look a little funky at times. So as you'll see me do here, I'm taking it with a few different brushes and patting it just to make sure that I get the desired intensity that I want, but also making sure that it's blended into the crease because we don't want any harsh edges. So just taking different brushes and taking your time to pack on the color and blend it out. If the pigment goes away by you blending it, just go in again and pat it in and then blend it out. Take your time. It's very tricky to work with such bright pastel-y colors. Now I am going to take a deeper navy shade and just apply that ever so slightly in the outer corners. I don't want it to appear like a navy color on the outer corners. I want it to just look like my eye looks deeper on that end, right? So I'm using it very lightly just to create that dimension and deeper kind of look on the outer corners, just making the eye appear a little bit more structured. Now I am going to do a little winged liner, so I'm taking this Liner Designer by Beauty Blender, and it will just help me slightly with the winged liner to create the angle. I do use it at first just to help me create the angle because I like to make sure that they look symmetrical, and it's a little bit tricky for me, I'm not gonna lie. Winged liner is pretty tricky for me, so I just use this at first to help me create the angle. Then once I have that angle carved out, I will just continue to line the rest of my eyes, and I'm using the black shade from the ABH Norvina palette. and just going to line my lid first, and then I will go in to the angle and just carve it out a little bit more and accentuate that wing. With this MAC liquid liner that I have, I'm just going to accentuate the lash line a little further, especially because this product is very long lasting. So I will just apply this over the black eyeshadow to make sure that the eyeliner looks really dark and prominent, but also that it will last a very long time. With a Q-tip and some makeup remover, I am going to clean up the edges of my winged liner, and this is really where you can clean up and make sure that the angles of the wings look symmetrical, and also clean up any edges of the blue that may have fallen down onto the face, so that way we can continue with our foundation. For my foundation, I'm taking the LA Girl HD Coverage Foundation and applying that with an IT Cosmetics flat kabuki brush all over my skin, making sure I get a nice and even coverage. And I am doing some cream contouring too, so I'm taking a darker foundation shade on a Real Techniques Expert face brush, and I'm applying that under my cheekbones, sides of my forehead and temple area, and then I'm blending it out with the brush to create some contouring to our face. And I will also go through it with a damp beauty blender to make sure everything is nice and blended. I will also be using some cream blush, and I'm taking that on a Sigma tapered kabuki brush with some Makeup Forever cream blushes, and I'm applying that over top of where we applied the contour, and I'm using it in an angle more towards the back side of my face to create a more structured facial look. Then I'm taking the Rare Beauty concealer in any areas that I'd like to conceal, so under my eyes, and the sides of my nose, and the bridge of my nose as well. And I will take a Japanesque blending brush, which is like a blending concealer brush, and I will just use that to blend out any areas where we have the concealer. This is nice and fluffy, so it won't disrupt the texture of our under eyes, so just using that to blend out and brighten also. Then taking the RCMA No Color Powder with the same brush and applying that under the eyes anywhere where I applied the concealer to set it, and taking the MAC Studio Fix powder with a larger powder brush and applying that on the other areas of the face to add a little bit more coverage. With a darker shade of MAC Studio Fix powder, I'm taking that on a Delium Tools tapered brush, and I'm applying that on the outer perimeters of the face to aid in the structure and sort of bronze up the complexion. With the KVD Shade and Light palette, I'm taking that on the same Delium Tools brush, and I'm just going to apply this to sort of contour the face a little bit more, so going in the hollows of the cheeks but blending it upwards, and also in the outer perimeters of the forehead to create and deepen up that contour. For my blush, I'm taking a Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush in the shade Party, and I'm applying that with a Morphe angled blush brush on the cheekbones. Then with the Smashbox contour and highlight palette, I'm taking a nice champagne-y shade and I'm applying that with a Morphe highlighting brush to the tops of my cheekbones and just adding in some glow into the face. Going back in with the ABH Norvina palette, I'm taking that on a smaller shader brush and I will be applying that to the bottom lash line and taking the darker shade to add some depth there, but then I go over it with the lighter blue shade to make sure that the bottom also pops with the top eyelid shade. This is a MAC Technical liner in a creamy shade and I'm applying this to my waterline. That will give the look a little bit more of a bright-eyed type of feel and make the eyes appear bigger, especially since we're using darker shades and very bright blue shades. It's really nice to have that white there. It will make the eyes appear larger and a little bit more doll-like. Then I will be filling in my brows. I'm first using a NYX Eyebrow Cake Powder, and then I do follow up with a MAC pencil in the shade Lingering to deepen up the eyebrows. Then I will go ahead and give my lashes a nice curl, preparing them for the mascara that we'll use after. For the mascara today, I'm using a mixture. As always, I use Maybelline The Falsies Mascara, and then I top it off with the Estee Lauder Mascara, and I use both of these on the top and bottom lashes. For my lips, I'm starting off with a nude lip liner. This is from LA Girl in the shade Naked. Going over top of that lip liner with a nude shade from the Makeup by Mario lip palette. And I do go over top of it with a nude lip gloss to add some gloss, which is the Buxom Cosmetics White Russian lip gloss. And this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe, leave any comments for any videos that you'd like me to do in the future, and I will also leave all my social media in the description box below. Thank you for watching and see you next one.